You're listening to the Next Team podcast.
Hi, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Next Team podcast, F1. And yes, we are back with yet another F1 episode because it has been yet another weekend of amazing racing in the streets of Jeddah. And we are so eager to just jump in and talk about it. But before that, Yash has some messages for you guys.
Yes, so guys, thank you so much for all your support for all our past episodes, whether it were F1, cricket, or football. We really appreciate your sort of support. So do be sure to check us out at YouTube and Spotify, the Next Team Podcast. And as well, do check us out on TikTok and Instagram at the Next Team SG. Over to you, Tarun.
Yep, thank you, Yash. Please do listen to him, guys. And without much further ado, let's jump right into the weekend. And as usual, let us start with Saturday qualifying day.
Actually, do you want to just go back a day before and talk about a little bit about Friday?
Friday? Yes, sure. Why not? A very exciting day for me as a Mercedes fan, most certainly. Just seeing my hopes crushed. Session after session.
I was talking about the other aspect of Friday, mate.
Yes. It was
controversial
Friday,
weekend,
wasn't it? Yeah. Controversial.
It's a very different Friday.
Yep. Maybe you want to just go through the specifics before we give our thoughts on it first.
Yeah, I guess so. What happened on Friday, I think we all know, is there's some conflict going on between two parties, which I do not want to name because personally I do not know my facts that well, but I just know that there's some dispute going on in that region. And basically the safety of the drivers was the main concern on Friday, wasn't it? Because whatever happened didn't happen too far away from the track, just about 10 kilometers away. And I believe you could see like some smoke from the live feed cameras during FP1 as well, I think, when it happened. So I generally thought that we would probably, cancel the race because it's quite a major thing, Yeah. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was in a sense, I guess I was hoping that the race gets cancelled because it just seemed like very, very dangerous conditions.
Absolutely.
To race in that situation. But is anyone really surprised that it didn't get cancelled? I don't know. I'm not.
I mean, I'm not surprised either. But then I guess I can kind of sympathize with why the FIA decided to go ahead, because I'm very sure that they probably had all the security intel they needed to have to make a fine decision of saying that we're going to stay and we're going to race. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, I have confidence in them. Of course, sometimes with all the different human rights issues going on in that region, it's all a bit controversial. But then at the same time, I feel that I have utmost confidence in the FIA that even though in the whole perspective it might look like cash is king right now, but I feel it was the right decision to go ahead, because I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have gone ahead with it if they didn't have 100% sure that they are putting the drivers at any risk and the fans as well. So yeah, that's my own thoughts on it. Well, what about you?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, cash is king. Yes, I don't think I don't think that's anything new to us as F1 fans. But at the end of the day, the FIA they care enough about the fans and the drivers and all the stuff. So for sure, if there was even any sort of risk behind it, wouldn't have gone ahead.
Definitely. Talking about cash is king, I just have a short detour. Apparently, I'm hearing rumors on Twitter that Las Vegas is going to be confirmed very soon for 2023. Next year.
So that's 3 American races.
Yeah, and apparently it's going to happen in the Thanksgiving period of like November end, I think.
Oh, wow.
It's just rumors flying around Twitter. I was just scrolling through on my way on back from commute. So just thought, hey, cash is king, so why not include another topic inside it? But yeah, let's get back to.
And I do think the F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali mentioned something about maybe up to 30 races in a year.
Oh man, that's insane. That's
it is
mad.
I think he's, if I'm not wrong, his exact words were there is the potential for 30 races in a year. But I mean, we most probably won't see it because I don't think the teams are going to agree to something like that. but still,
I mean,
it's
I guess that there's two perspectives to that issue. I guess you could look at it in a sense that you can resolve the issue of 30 races, because ultimately I feel the reason why a lot of people are against 30 races is, of course, firstly, it makes F1 more like a league, like, your football league, games happening pretty much every weekend, which people kind of do not want that, because F1 is meant, every Grand Prix is special. Every race is meant to be special. It's trying to get you anticipated for the action. You have to wait 2-3 weeks just to see cars going around in circles, basically. So I guess that's one argument of it, I guess, why fans are against it. And the second argument is, of course, that, the employees of all these companies, which basically your Mercedes, your Ferraris, your Red Bulls, all the teams, basically, I mean, they have a life as well outside of the sport, because if you're trying to have like a 30 Grand Prix in a year, that's almost like every other week. I'm pretty sure you have to basically race. And I mean, at least at this perspective, I don't see that as a possibility, because there's cost caps. And of course, right now there's only, I think, one rotation team. Like, I believe there's other racing categories where you have like different rotating teams.
Oh.
So like you have two separate teams, so they rotate their shifts basically around. I mean, that's an idea if F1 wants to implement a larger calendar, but like you said, I don't think teams are going to agree with it. So if teams don't agree, it's not going to happen, basically.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, ultimately, the teams have to make the decision. So if they don't, then, oh well,
yeah,
it's not going to happen. Yep.
But to be honest, I feel like 23 races is more than enough, man.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have triple headers, double headers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's relatively close to each other, so
absolutely,
I think it's really fine.
Yeah, and it keeps you excited. That's the thing. Like I mentioned earlier, like there's a bit of a little bit of anticipation of every race. It gets you excited. I mean, I'm sure like after seeing what happened in Jeddah, we want to see that every week again and again.
Yep,
but ultimately, I feel that there needs to be a fine balance between it. So at least in the foreseeable future, I hope that doesn't happen. But then at the same time, if they're trying to extend the calendar, I really hope they don't take iconic circuits out, because I remember having a chat with you the other day offline. They're trying to take Spa out, and if they take Spa out, I think we all should go and riot, essentially. So
it's racing heritage for sure.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, it's a shame if that happens.
Even tracks like Monaco, which in recent years they might not have delivered, but I just think that even those tracks should stay on the calendar, because it's about the racing heritage. It's been around for decades, and they just deserve to be there for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, Monaco is all about Saturday, So that's why it's interesting. But I guess let's see. I guess we should get back to topic of the Saudi Arabian review, basically.
The Jeddah GP.
Yep.
I guess Friday, yes, we've covered that, and a bit of the controversial things that went on. So moving on to Saturday, qualifying, a very interesting qualifying, pretty heartbreaking one for me, I have to say. Going in chronological order again, Q1, the 5 drivers were eliminated. Well, let me start with Yuki, because he did not set a time, right?
Yeah, he had some failure, I think.
Yeah.
Not sure what.
And so that failure that happened, it was before qualifying. And then he didn't start the race because of another failure. Would that be a worrying thing for AlphaTauri?
I guess not. Okay, you could say it's a little bit worrying that, the car didn't basically run the entire weekend. Neither of the 2 main important sessions that you should be running. So that could be a cause of concern. But then I feel more, instead of cause of concern, I would say it's a missed opportunity, because the AlphaTauri looked pretty strong at Jeddah. I think Gasly got into Q3. I think, did he?
Gasly.
I can't really remember now. Yeah. Yeah, like because I remember at least watching practices, the AlphaTauri looked pretty quick. They were in the top 10 almost every time. Right. And even Yuki was right there up with Gasly in competitiveness. So it's more of a missed opportunity. But, it's just early on in the season. Teams are still trying to figure out their package. So I guess these things are going to happen at least for the first 4 or 5 races, until teams really start to dial down on understanding, what are some fundamental issues the cars are facing, basically.
Yep. I mean, new cars, it takes a while to figure out And of course, another team that is really struggling to figure out their car, Mercedes, car number 44, missing out on getting out of Q1 on pure pace alone for the first time since 2009, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And what do you think? I'll tell people what I think in a bit. What do you think? What happened there for Mercedes?
Well, I guess from what I've been reading, it's just Hamilton's just not happy with his car. Like, I feel that he got his setup wrong. That's what I'm hearing, because each driver tends to alter their own setups.
Yeah.
So in that perspective, I feel like Hamilton's out of the garage got his setup wrong, which probably led to a little bit of pace deficit. But then he was like almost a second down on George Russell, his own teammate. That's a little bit of a shock, So I don't know, honestly. Like that it could be that whatever happened on Friday kind of affected Lewis as well, in a way, because we all know Lewis, what a role model he is, basically advocating for all of this human rights issues, for anything in regards to bringing equality to F1 into F1 and stuff like that. So maybe all this could have had an effect on him, maybe mentally. We do not know. I mean, obviously, he's going to come out and deny that this kind of things had effect on him, because he's a professional. But ultimately, he knows that answer to it, So I feel that's maybe a little bit of why it affected his pace. But I feel that's obviously not a main thing, because we all know Lewis is a beast mentally. So I feel it's more of that. He's just not happy with the car he's getting. And yeah, he's just struggling, I guess. Like, I feel the issue with Hamilton's car was that the rear end, he wasn't happy with the rear. So basically on traction, he was really struggling with trying to get on throttle as quick as he can. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's worrying as a Mercedes fan, because you do not want to see such a large deficit between two teams. I mean, especially when we think coming into the season that Hamilton will be the one always going to be ahead of George. And yeah, I mean, who would have thought he would be like 1 second behind in just the second race? So I guess, yeah, it comes from Mercedes' own car problems and then probably getting the whole setup wrong. So I feel it's an anomaly. I don't think that's where exactly Mercedes is, because we've seen in the race, we'll come to it obviously eventually, that the car can move up the field. So I feel that's not the issue. It's more of just, sometimes you get things wrong, and that's what happens. So it could happen to George as well. That's what I'm trying to say. He might get his setup wrong, and things might go wrong. So that's my viewpoint. What's yours?
For me, I do agree with a lot of what you said, because I do think it was a setup thing, and I don't think the car by itself is actually this bad. It's not P16 bad, especially when you have
of course,
the other driver getting into Q3 and qualifying P6. But I think from what the team has said also, they were just testing things, and they were running different packages on George and Lewis's cars. So I don't know, maybe it was like a experimental package that Lewis got that didn't really work out. Because if I am remembering it correctly, it was Q1 where he really, really struggled more as compared to the free practice sessions.
Yeah, of course.
So,
but of course, you can also look at it in a different perspective, that in Q3 is when everyone turned up their modes, and then that's where Mercedes struggled. I guess that's another way to look at it.
I mean, timing wise, because it was improving from FP1 to FP3, and maybe I don't know. I mean, could just be that they took one too many steps in the direction to try and shave off the tens and the hundreds, and it just went very wrong for them. I don't know.
Probably.
Ultimately, it's only Lewis and Mercedes who actually know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can wait a few days. Mercedes usually release their James Vowles race debrief. Yeah, so maybe you can hear what he says afterwards. But at this time of recording, obviously, we don't have the answers to that. Yeah, but I feel maybe Hamilton's out of the garage tried to sort the issues of proposing, maybe, I guess, which probably led to why they were even slower, I guess.
I don't know. But it didn't seem to help much, because
he was still bouncing quite a bit.
Itself, it was really bouncing a lot. Not the race itself, but in the qualifying especially.
Yeah.
Still quite a bit of porpoising.
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, I think it's just an anomaly. I fully expect them to be back fighting for that 5 and 6 kind of positions.
Yeah. But I mean, you can be optimistic as well, because I'm hearing that Mercedes are going to bring the upgraded package to Imola. So that's just one more race away after Australia, basically.
Yep, that's true.
So it's not too far away. I mean, obviously, whether is it going to work or not, that's only time will tell. But at least the thing you can look at it as a Mercedes fan yourself is that the team is actively looking at a situation. They know they're not where they're supposed to be. They're finding for solutions, and they have a solution on their hands. It's just going to take until Imola to probably get a solution out.
Right.
Yeah, but only time will tell if that solution is actually the right solution. So I guess you just got to wait and see. Yeah.
I mean, I guess they can still take until, I don't know, May. Like if they just spend the whole of next month developing, I guess May is like the natural target they should aim for to have some solid improvement on the car.
Yeah.
If there's nothing by then it's really just going to be a fight to survive.
For sure. I mean, they look like a very solid team in the 5th and 6th position. Like there's a big gap between them and probably someone from the midfield as well.
I think
and they are unable to catch. Sorry. That's why George was like really free in the race. So I mean, at least as a Mercedes, like you're looking at it, okay, you're not getting challenged where you are at least at the moment. So in that sense,
four cars, but also the cars behind you aren't really
exactly. So in that perspective, you actually have a little bit more time on your hands to try and get a solution right, because no one's from the back trying to kind of compete with you. So you only have to think about trying to bridge the gap at the top. So yeah,
that's true. And speaking of the gap at the top, we have to congratulate a certain Mexican who has picked up his first pole position of his career and the first pole position of any Mexican in F1. And that is, of course, Sergio Perez. What a stunning lap, though, to be honest. Because I saw Leclerc putting in purple sector 1, purple sector 2, put in an orange sector 3, but I was like, okay, that is it. Oh, that is a phenomenal lap.
And that came out of nowhere, literally.
And then, exactly. Checo came out of nowhere. I was not expecting him to take pole. I mean, we had this talk last week with our predictions, and neither of us
neither of us exactly
Perez to take pole. So like what went through your head when you saw Checo's name at P1?
I mean, I was shocked in a way, because I thought Leclerc had the pole in his place, because when we saw Verstappen cross the line, he was P4, and then suddenly Checo comes in and beats everyone, in fact. So we were all, I think I was really shocked, but I mean, I'm really happy for Checo, you know. I think no one, I don't think there's any F1 fan who really hates Checo, you know. Like, he's such a likable driver in the entire grid. And I mean, I'm just happy for him. And it was also on his 11th anniversary in F1, I think. I remember reading such a stat, like on the 11th year since making his debut, on that exact day, he actually got pole position. So I guess it's kind of nice, you know. At least we are starting to see that Checo is kind of he's closing the gap, at least in terms of qualifying. But I feel like we'll come to this again in the race, but I feel like he's still lacking the entire race pace to probably challenge the top. But yeah, we'll come to that in a bit.
Right. You have anything else for qualifying?
Not really, I guess. McLaren did pretty well.
Oh yes, McLaren did pretty well, and Alpine, not too bad. They got Ocon into 5th and Alonso 7th. So I think they did pretty well too, overall considered. Again, it was not a good qualifying for any of the Mercedes teams. So Williams, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Aston Martin. 15 to 19 is just depressing.
I mean, I guess it kind of just highlights that there is probably some issue with the Mercedes powered engine, probably.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, let's move on to Sunday, the race weekend. And chronological order once again, starting with the opening of the race. So pretty clean opening, you had to say.
It's very surprising.
I know, right? I was pretty shocked as well. I was
Yeah.
very, very happy, obviously, because I am okay with crashes. I mean, it's quite fun to watch every now and then. But this is not a track I want to see a crash at. We did
Yeah, I
see
mean,
Mick in
yeah, we didn't talk about it. I just remembered now that you
Exactly.
mentioned the crash.
yeah. I mean, we did see Mick, and there was an immense crash. I think it was 32 Gs or something.
33, 33. Yeah,
And so
crazy.
very, very glad he's okay. Obviously, couldn't race
Yeah.
in because of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think for me, this just kind of highlights the dangerous nature where you lose control in one corner and right into the concrete wall you go. That's just really.
And that's at almost 300 kilometers an hour,
Exactly.
basically.
It's very dangerous, of course.
It is.
I think we did have this conversation offline as well in the group, and we were just talking about why was there no tire barrier there, and hopefully these are the kind of things that make the FIA consider maybe a redesign of the track if we do come back next year, which
I feel my main issue with that corner was, which you mentioned, is that the curb is actually a little elevated. I don't know if you notice it from the ground shot effects. The curb is actually a little bit like it's a little slanted and it's elevated, which I don't know why. And not just Mick, we saw Alonso, we saw Ocon, all in qualifying had a tank slap in that same corner. So I don't know why like the FI decided to go with a slightly elevated curb, because to me it doesn't make sense, because when you have a little bit of differential, when your car goes over the slanted, uneven surface, there's going to be a little bit of, how do I put it, like an edge to the tires and to the ground effects of the car, which has the potential to kind of make the car snap. So, and that's why you're going in that corner almost 300 kilometers. So, I don't know. I guess they probably have a reason why they had that curve the way it is, but. For sure, I feel like you mentioned, we do need to improve if we are going to come back to Jeddah again. We do need to improve a lot of safety things to make the track a lot safer for the drivers.
Yep. But that aside, talking about the race start, again, had to reiterate how clean it was. And how clean was that overtake from Lando Norris?
Yeah. But instead, in fact, of Lando, I should I wanted to talk about Magnuson's overtake on Gasly. I don't know if you noticed, but in that entire sequence when they were going through, they were literally side by side for about like 4 or 5 corners from the start base, from turn 1. And Magnuson just somehow had the balls of steel to just, I guess, get his car in front at 250 kilometers an hour to just like left, I think, the head. So. I mean, it was great to see that everyone got through safely. That's the first thing, of course. But then we saw some really good side-by-side action on the first lap itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, the subsequent laps actually gave us a lot of action, which I'm sure we'll talk about it soon.
I mean, Kevin Magnuson is he's that kind of driver, isn't he? He's not scared of anything.
Yeah.
Great at defending and great at attacking as well.
Yeah, it's just great to see him back on the grid, man. Like, I honestly felt that he was the undeserved driver to kind of leave the team, I felt. So it's good to have him back.
Yep. And moving on a few laps, and we don't have to talk about this one. 2 pink cars going at each other.
Again.
Yeah, again.
It's always the pink cars.
It's always the pink cars, isn't it? You can change. It's not even the same team anymore.
Yeah, you change the team name, you change everything. Yeah.
I saw those 2 pink cars going at it. I was like, oh no, the Force Indias are back at it. And I was like, oh no, wait, this is Alpine we're talking about. But how good was that battle though between Ocon and Alonso?
No, it was magnificent, man. Like, I think Ocon right after the race, he had like this Sky Sports F1. They were actually interviewing him. And he said that it was literally like go-kart racing they used to have, which was a great analogy to use, because I feel a lot of these drivers now feel that with the cars they have, you are able to follow a lot closer in the high-speed corners.
Right.
That just gives you a lot of opportunities to overtake. And I think we saw that, like especially with this Fernando and Ocon battle, where they were battling each other for approximately 3-4 laps constantly.
Mhm.
And even after that, Ocon was still right behind him, So it was a great battle. I think in the very first time, Ocon he was a little bit cheeky. I felt he kind of moved when Fernando tried to basically get into his inside, which I felt was a little bit naughty from Ocon. And I was surprised Fernando didn't come onto the radio and was like, you have to leave the space all the time. But
iconic lines.
yeah, because he really had to brake and lift off when Ocon did that. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, but then I guess after the very next lap, he came back and then he just basically cut Ocon off again at the exit of turn one, basically turn 1, turn 2 sequence. So it was great to see. And then Ocon tried to come back again, but then he just kept on going wide, braking a bit too late. So it was good defense by Alonso. A little unfortunate that all his hard work early on kind of didn't turn to fruit, basically, because he had the retirement, of course. But it was good to see, like a lot of cars battling. Like you mentioned, Lando had a good overtake as well in the opening few laps. Lewis was making his way up the field as well, slowly.
I think Lewis just took a couple of laps to get the tires up to temperature in the optimal range, but he kept those tires alive for a very long time.
Yeah,
like, I think if I remember correctly, even towards the end of his stint, he was putting in laps comparable to George's pace.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's good to hear, I guess.
So yeah, I guess they did get something out of the whole setup changes.
Yeah.
But
what are your thoughts on that, Ocon? And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I loved it. I love to see it, and this is the kind of racing that we want to see. Two drivers going at it, just competing for that position, regardless of whether they is your teammate or not. But if I was Otmar in that situation, I would be, I would like, my heart rate would just be like going off. And
I don't think I'll be able to watch the TV, man.
Yeah, it would be terrifying. It's like, especially when they almost made contact. And I was just thinking of like, it was that situation that you mentioned when Alonso almost rear-ended.
Yeah.
It just gave me like Baku 2018 vibes.
Ricardo and Verstappen. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Exact same. Yeah, it was exactly the
Both
same
down the
thing.
main straight, trying to go down the inside and just getting cut off, having to brake and move away. And like, if I'm Otmar in that situation, I'm having a heart attack. Nothing else, and just.
The funny thing is that even last time when two pink cars were fighting, was Otmar itself at the helm, basically.
That was Singapore 2018, right?
I don't know what race, but when the pink, like Sergio Perez and Ocon came together in Belgium, Otmar was the team principal at Racing Point as well back then. So
right, yeah,
that was Otmar, man.
2018, yeah.
So I mean, I was really surprised that Otmar, the team didn't come in and try to intervene earlier. Like they came in really late and told Ocon to hold position.
They made a call to Otmar during as it was going on, and he said initially that they were happy to let them race, but they probably changed their mind after the close call.
Yeah, but I mean, they were just costing each other too much time fighting. That's the thing, because they were allowing Bottas to catch up from behind.
Exactly.
So
Kevin Magnuson behind caught up a little bit more.
Yeah, so it became like, instead of a 2-car train just fighting each other, it became like a 4-car train instead.
Yep.
And as a team,
I think that cost Ocon the place to Bottas when he.
Bottas did overtake him.
Position.
Yeah, which was funny. He took the whole position and he gave his position to Bottas instead. So that was funny. Yeah, but it was great to see, man. Great action to see. Like I feel the midfield this season is really tight. It's been never this tight ever before. And the cars are able to follow just helps to give us really great racing. And I mean, it's just not a midfield. We're seeing battles all over the pitch, all over the track rather, not the pitch. So, so it's good stuff. It's a good time to be an F1 fan. That's what I want to say.
Yep, for sure. And moving swiftly on, was there anything else that happened until the pit stop fiasco?
Not really.
Yeah,
I guess it was just it's just the pivotal moment of the race. I guess the pit stop, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not remembering much before that also. So moving on to the pit stop, obviously, This was when Perez was in the lead and Charles
Yeah.
Leclerc following him. Right behind, Perez came in. I think Charles was told to do the opposite of what Perez did.
Yeah.
So Checo came in, got new tires, and Leclerc stayed out. And it did not work out well for Checo because of a certain driver. Yeah.
Who is the driver?
Who was that driver? I do have to bring up a new term that has been coined this weekend, and that term is Checo Perez got LATIFIED. Yep. And this
That's a good one.
Yep, one for the stats book. This is the third race in which Latifi has had a direct hand in choosing the race leader.
Yep.
Second race in the last three. Yeah.
Second
race in the last three. Yep. So now let's see. If you are Checo Perez, are you going to be angry at the team for doing that?
Not really, actually, because I feel that's racing sometimes. As a team, you can't predict when a driver is going to crash or what's going to happen. So obviously you look into this current situation, look at the present situation, and considering what happened in Bahrain, when you think of Max trying to overtake Charles in Bahrain, and they tried to undercut Max, it almost worked for them. You could see that. So I feel that was the worry what Red Bull had. They did not want Charles to get ahead of them. So when Ferrari came, Ferrari was like, box to overtake. So they were making it clear to Red Bull that they're going to pit if you guys don't pit. And like you mentioned, he did the opposite, Perez. So Red Bull decided, let's box him instead of getting the undercut. We get the undercut instead so that we can probably extend the gap. But yeah, it's just unfortunate timing. It's really sucks to say because I felt Perez was controlling the race up front. He was like about 1.52 seconds in front of Leclerc, and he was doing pretty good. He had a great start, no mistakes, nothing until.
I was very impressed with the start actually, because it was a very clean start and just perfectly timed.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, once he took the lead, couldn't really catch him. I think for the most part. Although they were pretty close, right? As when Perez went into the pits, like just before Perez went in.
Yep. I feel the thing I have a little bit of a mixed feeling is that this is just a different context. Like I was kind of hoping Leclerc would come into the pits at the same time because it kind of as a drama perspective, it looks really cool to see who can get a jump in the pits. But then I realized that the fact that Red Bull and actually Ferrari, they are both side by side, so it becomes really hard to box at the same time, I guess. But like in the olden days, back in like your 2010s or whatever, they always used to do that. Instead of doing this undercut overcut strategy, they used to fight it out in the pits, which was really cool to see back then. So but yeah, I guess because now your car's a lot bigger, your pit boxes are actually getting smaller, ironically. I guess that's not possible. But yeah, just really unlucky for Checo. He got LATIFIED, as you said.
Yeah. And once Charles took the lead, it was pretty smooth sailing, I guess, for him.
Yeah. I feel after that it was a race of two halves, where first half Charles was just controlling until we had this whole bunch of three cars retiring in one lap.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But just the moment before that, Perez had to give up a place to Carlos Sainz. For that pit exit incident. I'm actually honestly, I'm not too sure on what that is. Are you?
Yeah. So what happened is that usually when you are you're coming out of the pit, there's this line which kind of depicts where the actual track starts. So you kind of, especially in a safety car situation, you kind of use that line as a reference. So what happened is that when Perez was coming, Sainz was exiting at the same time, and they were basically side by side. But then ultimately, if you want to put it in absolute perspective, who was supposed to be ahead in safety line? Because in a safety car situation, it's because that line kind of determines who's ahead. So I guess at the point when Sainz was at the line, he was ahead of Perez, who was almost there basically.
Oh.
So, I mean, I didn't see the exact pictures of how close they were, but I feel like looking just at a visual, the replace and everything, I feel that Sainz was actually a little bit ahead of Perez. And that's what I felt as well. So I feel it was right for Perez to give the position back. But I was surprised that he gave the position back after the race started. Like on a safety car restart, instead of giving it back during the safety car sequence. Which I guess also comes with the fact that you can't really overtake or give a place in a safety car.
Yep.
Formation.
It's still a bit of a gray area for the teams, maybe, so they didn't want to risk it.
And then at the same time, I feel Red Bull didn't want to risk a penalty afterwards as well, because I think they knew that it was kind of obvious that, Sainz was ahead. So I feel they did the right decision. It was just a bit awkward, I would say, because if you look at it, George was right there actually when Perez just let him by, because he had to really lift off, to let Sainz by. So he could have lost another place. That's what I'm trying to say, which he didn't, which is good, of course. But there was a possibility of him losing that place. So, like you mentioned, it's a little bit of a gray area, and I hope this kind of small things FIA kind of picks up. It's this kind of scenarios which you don't expect, which might happen, but they actually end up happening. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Fine margins, of course, in this sport. It's kind of what defines F1. And moving on a little bit further. Oh, did you enjoy that little battle between Hamilton and Magnuson?
Oh yeah. Who would have thought Mercedes versus Haas in 2022?
Oh well, I don't know if it's what Haas did well or what Mercedes did poorly. It's probably a bit of both, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you watch 2021, you'd be like, oh, this is not right. This is so not right. But that's where it is. And
welcome to a new year.
Yeah, new year, new cars, new battles, new rivalries.
Yeah.
Oh well, Magnuson is a great driver, of course. Did not give that one up easily at all. Took some pretty good moves to get past him. But yeah, it always does when it comes to Magnuson.
I mean, I guess Haas are able to compete at least reasonably, I would say, with even Mercedes. Obviously, like we mentioned before, there is still that gap between your midfield and then Mercedes, who are in the middle, in the sandwich of the top and the middle, basically. But I guess
read that after the race, after the race, Gunther Steiner went on the radio to Magnuson and said something along the lines of, I'm sorry, we only got P9 and we'll do better in Australia. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but I think that's where the expectations lie for Haas at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, I guess. It's good. I think they know that they have a good package in themselves. And we can see that it's a very competitive package. Even in quality, Mick was doing well as well until he had that accident. Magnuson's obviously there. So you can see that it's not just the driver, it's the car as well. The car is good because Mick is able to get there as well.
Exactly.
So I guess it's good time to be a Haas fan. And I guess, the past 2 years, which have been really painful for them, I guess it's good to see a bit of happiness to the faces of the mechanics, to Gunther Steiner as well. Who, I don't know if you watched this, there's this meme which is circulating where one of the reporters asked Gunther about gaining 2 points or losing 2 points or something like that, and he came up with a really brilliant response, which I don't want to say because it's a bit PG-18 basically.
It's friendly channel.
Yeah, it's PG-18. So if you guys want, you can check that out. It's all over on Twitter, basically.
Yep. And moving further along, obviously we have to talk about the other incident, or should I say the pair of incidents a little bit after that, with both Ricciardo and the Alpine of Fernando Alonso retiring in quick succession.
And Bottas as well.
Ah, yes, Bottas. Yeah, 3 drivers, 3 different engines, all retiring pretty much around the same time.
Yeah, it's 1 lap between each other, almost. Basically.
Yeah, just on the same lap. Oh, wow.
Ricciardo and Alonso was on the same lap. I think Bottas the next lap, something like that.
Right. All right. I can't remember the specifics. But that really cost Hamilton, didn't it, in terms of pit stops? Because from what I've seen, it appears that Ricciardo first came along and he stopped at the pit entry, or like a little bit inside the pit entry lane. And Mercedes at that time didn't call Lewis in, even though technically the pit lane was still open.
Yeah.
But they didn't call him in. And then when they actually got the calling him in,
He was past the line, basically.
He has just gone past the line. But Kevin Magnuson behind him managed to pit, and then they closed. They closed the pit entry right after that. I think that was when Alonso joined in the fray as well. So, I mean, it's just very unfortunate timing for Lewis and Mercedes in that sense. I think if they got that pit in that time, they could have really finished sixth, maybe seventh.
You're right behind Russell, basically, I would say.
Most likely.
Yeah.
It's just...
it's just unfortunate a sequence of events. And I feel they were a bit... I feel they were a bit afraid, or like they had PTSD from Monza. I can't remember which year it was exactly, but
that's what I was thinking too, because I think Monza, they had that issue with the notification system and they didn't really get the message in on time.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they wouldn't want to risk another a drive-through or a stop-go penalty.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't really blame them, but it did cost them maybe.
It did cost them a lot of time, because it was kind of a free pit stop for Hamilton if he had gotten in at that point. It would have been
a very free pit stop.
Exactly. So just unfortunate, I guess. But it's just a poor weekend for Hamilton. Finished P10 at the end. Just 1 point. I mean, afterwards he came to the video asking his engineer if there's even points for P10. There's just such an unfamiliar territory he has been that he doesn't even know that there's a point system going on at the back after P5.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either top 5 or no points, I guess, if you're Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I guess that was the main changing point of the race, isn't it? The 3 retirements, which brought out the VSC, which kind of changed the entire complexion of the race. So how about you? You give your thoughts first on the fight at the front between Ferrari and Red Bull.
Yeah, of course. Once again, 2 races in a row now. That's some insane racing that we've seen. Both kind of following the same pattern in the end, but I mean, that's what you want to see. There's a kind of fights that you want to see at the front, especially. I think that was missing. Maybe not last year. Last year we had quite a bit of fights at the front. Some got pretty scrappy, but the years before, that was what we were missing. And here we are. We have the race leaders exchanging positions, exchanging fastest laps. Very, very exciting stuff. And what was a bit notable for me was, I think Max learned from his mistakes from last week. He did make the same mistake again once, and then the second time he just tucked in behind Leclerc nice and got the DRS on the main straight instead. Yeah. So I mean, this is racing now this year as we see it. It takes a lot of intelligence now. You have to plan your moves, but you also have some extra abilities that you didn't have previously, which is like you can follow through corners better. You don't lose downforce. You can brake later when you're the following car. So all of these things are they're playing into the hands of. I guess it helps the following car a little bit more than it did in the past. Yeah. So obviously we're going to see this kind of pretty phenomenal racing, I would say, a lot more.
But I do want to make a point as well that it's because these 2 tracks which we have right now, both Bahrain and Saudi. These 2 tracks, their DRS zones are basically right after each other, which is why we are seeing a little bit of an anomaly. So if let's say to go to Albert Park, I think there's also 3 DRS zones, so we might see a little bit. But if you go to a different track, for example, I think Imola only has 1 DRS zone, and that's the main straight. Yeah. So in these cases, you're going to have a lot of different variation, like you mentioned about this new tactic where you kind of just have to wait until the next DRS zone to kind of confirm your move,
Right.
Like it's going to be very track specific. That's what I think.
Oh, yeah. That's very true, yeah. I mean, drivers will have to change the way they race. I mean, in the past, it was just you change the way you drive based on every track, but now you have to think a lot differently to just go past your rival on the track.
Yeah, I feel the difference between last time and now is more of that last time because you couldn't follow through the corners. One DRS zone kind of made a move very effective because like once you move out of the sequence of corners, you were already quite far back that you can't attack in the next DRS zone. But what this year's cars are doing is that you can literally stay on the nose, like at its back of the guy in front of you, literally through 2-3 corners and come to the DRS zone again. So I guess that's why we're seeing a lot of this tactical battle, which is great, I guess. But of course, then it kind of makes you feel that, maybe second place is the best place to be until the final few laps of the race. So maybe the DRS is a little too powerful. I don't know. But like I said, I do feel it's a lot track specific as well because Jeddah has really long DRS zones because it's just basically a straight. If you think of it, it's just you're turning left and right. And that's about it here and there. So yeah,
but I think that's one of the things they did want to change with the new cars, which is that they didn't want to they wanted to make DRS a bit more obsolete. In the past, it was just meant to reduce drag, but now if you have that if you don't lose as much downforce, then obviously you're not going to need to reduce drag in the end. And what you said about it's a lot easier to follow through the corners now. So if let's say look at Albert Park next, even if you're behind going out of the second DRS zone, you can still follow a lot closer through the series of corners. And by the time you get to the next the final DRS zone, you're probably close enough to still make a move, which
absolutely
not the case in the past.
I mean, I'm going to bring this up again. I feel it's too small of a sample size again to kind of judge because it's just 2 races and both these races are kind of favoring this long straights in a way. But I'm not taking anything away because I've seen that the cars can pull through Sector 1 at Jeddah. And Sector 1 is a really all fast left, right, almost 5th, 6th gear corners basically.
Right.
So especially to follow in those speeds, in those corners was very difficult in last generation's cars. So there is positive signs, but I want to see this happen at more of your circuits where you are unable to overtake. So your Barcelonas, your Monaco. I mean, I do feel that it's going to still be very hard to overtake in Monaco, but I feel like at least you're able to follow in Monaco, to at least have a chance maybe out of the, the tunnel or something like that.
Out of the tunnel, and I mean, most likely down the main straight is always
exactly. So absolutely. So like if those tracks kind of convince me that we can see this on a very regular basis, I would say that the FI have done a brilliant job in designing this new generation cars. But to be fair, I love the cars. They look really sick to me. Like I love the look of it. It's a little bit slower, but I don't really mind. As long as it provides us good racing, and like some drivers say, it's giving them flashbacks of just go-karting. So if they're feeling it that way, then I'm pretty sure that what the FIA are doing, it's probably the right thing then.
Yep, for sure. Well, that sums up that battle in front. Before we conclude, I do want to talk about Carlos Sainz, because I think both of us thought he had what it takes to win this week. Do you think he was, after seeing like qualifying free practice, do you think he had a chance at a race win here?
I don't know, man, because I think Carlos himself has been really open about the fact that he's lacking a bit of pace himself, like consistency, like what Leclerc is able to do. He's able to get those 3-4 tenths out per lap on race trim, which Carlos is not able to do. So it's a very situation, very reminiscent of how it is between Verstappen and Sergio, basically, where Sergio is unable to match the racecraft or race pace. Like maybe on one lap, it's a lot easier. I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy, but I'm saying that it's a lot easier to be consistent on one lap compared to be consistent on like 50 laps, for example. So I feel that's where you can really see the starking difference between the two number 1 and number 2 drivers, basically. So I feel it's a very similar situation, but I do feel that Carlos's time will come because we know that he can get pole. We have seen it. He's just 1/10 away, like each of these races from pole position, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's able to extract that extra beats, I hope to actually see that he and even Perez can get into the fight, because what I felt was like something which I felt was a little concerning is that despite Perez falling back in 4th place after his whole unluckiness with the safety car, he wasn't able to overtake Sainz again, which was kind of worrying. That like I felt that he had the pace, like he had the pace to stay ahead when Leclerc was, second, but then when he fell back, he just couldn't get close to Sainz at any point. So like both of them just had their own individual race per se. Like they were close, but they're not close enough to battle out. So that's a little bit concerning, I guess. But because it's the same thing which happened in Bahrain as well, if you think about it. Sainz was alone by himself, Perez was behind him, and the gap was there again. So I guess it just shows the difference between this number 1 and number 2 drivers in both these teams. That there's a huge difference in that. Per se, but I'm sure that there will come a time where both of these drivers will get their chances, will get the opportunities for race win. But like on pure pace basis, I just don't see them both winning on merit, at least for now. Yeah.
And another team that I wanted to talk about was Alfa Romeo. We did talk a little bit about Bottas's DNF, but Zhou Guanyu, 11th place, narrowly missing out on points, and that's only because of the penalty, which he then failed to serve and got a bigger penalty.
It was kind of weird though. I thought he served his penalty. Like they showed the replay of him coming to the pit. He was stationary in the pits for like quite a while, but apparently they were like taking the jack out. They put the wrong jack in or something like that.
I don't know. I think it's just something about the technicalities of it.
Yeah, like the team messed
do
up.
any work on the car while it's stationary for those 5 seconds. So I don't know. I saw a mechanic with the wheel gun doing something. Might have been that. Could have been the jack.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, it's unlucky, but I guess you can see that Alpha has also made a huge step, just like Haas. They're regularly in top 10. I mean, pretty much. And like Bottas was fighting for P7, I think, until he had a retirement or something like that. So the car is very competitive. He's getting into Q3 both times in a row. And he's apparently extended his Q3 run for like, I don't know, 103rd or 4th time in a row now. Bottas. So yeah, it's quite an amazing stat, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even Lewis doesn't have that record anymore of Q3s.
Yeah. Well, talking about records, he broke Schumacher's record this weekend of being in a single team for the most number of
starts,
Grand Prix. Yeah, most number of starts. Just kind of nice, I guess. Oh, wow, I didn't know Schumacher had like 179 Grand Prix with Ferrari. Just realized. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. Especially back then, it wasn't when you didn't have so many races every year.
Exactly, that's a lot. And now I'm thinking about Lewis at 12. He's been at the team since 2013. It's going to be 10 years since he's going to be at a team. That's insane.
Next year will be 10. Yeah.
Yeah, next year with his 10th anniversary. Well, hopefully the good times roll for him soon then.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see him get into the mix with Leclerc and Verstappen again.
That's true. I mean, hopefully we can see that this year, I would. Earlier is better, honestly.
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic we will. So let's see.
Yeah. There's another team, two other teams who could use quite a bit of optimism this year. Both running the Mercedes engines, of course. Firstly, Aston Martin. They're literally bottom of the barrel in this race with all the DNFs. They were 12 and 13, which were the two cars to not DNF.
Wait, where did Albon finish? Did he DNF?
Albon DNF'd, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought he finished the race despite the damage he had. Okay.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Okay.
I think he was classified as 14, but he didn't finish the race because he was a certain percentage of the race. Yeah. So technically, it was Stroll and Hülkenberg who.
Right, they were the last, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like right now Aston basically look like the second slowest team or maybe even the slowest, you could argue.
Them and
Williams, yeah. Which is a shame because I thought Williams would get things right this year. I felt like the way Haas got things right, I was expecting them to get things right. I mean, I don't think that car looks as bad as Aston Martin's look, I feel. Personally, because I've seen Albon getting into Q3, he's able to battle at least in like your 14 to 15 positions,
Right.
whereas like your Aston Martin is just falling back. Like we saw Hulkenberg just fall back throughout the race after the safety car.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for sure he had old tires, but then it just shows that the car has a genuine lack of pace, which is concerning because I believe Seb will be back for Australia.
Yeah, he should be.
He should be back for Australia, yeah. So I don't think he'll be too happy with the way things are going with Aston because I feel when he came into the team, the expectations were high to bring, like he was brought there to bring this Aston team from a mid-table team to a top of the midfield team at least.
Yep.
You know, so if the car is lacking this behind, he should be really concerned, I feel.
Yep. And the interesting stat of the weekend, when they were Force India, they didn't go more than 2 races without points. But now this is their 4th race that they finished without points as a team.
Oh wow, so it goes back to last year as well. Okay.
Yep. I think the last 2 races of last year.
Yeah, last 2 races. So Abu Dhabi and what was the last race? I think Saudi as well.
Saudi.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yep. Not a good sign for them.
Yeah.
Well. Anyway, looking forward to Australia it's 2 weeks time, right? Is it?
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks time. Yeah, 2 weeks time.
Yeah. Or at the time we're uploading this, 1.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So who are we saying? Pole and race win?
I think I'm gonna go with Leclerc for pole. Reason why I feel that is because I think let's just mention firstly that Australia, we are having quite a big revamp of the track.
That is correct.
This year. Your pit lanes have been extended. I think they've been widened, and your track has a lot of changes here and there. So it's going to be fascinating to see like the whole chicane they had last time. Not really a chicane, but like the slow corner sequence in middle sector is completely removed. So now it's a whole flowing section, which is supposed to aid overtaking with DRS as well. So I guess that'll be nice to see. I'm really happy to have Australia back on the calendar because I think like it's one of the best races of the year. Like especially when you start the Grand Prix in Australia, there's a lot of buzz in the circuit. It's start of a new season. Everyone's hyped for the new season, and yeah, I mean there is a bit of there's this debate that it does not offer the best of races sometimes, but I feel it's an iconic venue. Albert Park. So
for sure.
Personally, sorry.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it was iconic as like that season opener kind of
exactly
track. Now it's not, but it's still pretty iconic.
Yeah, and especially since the whole COVID debacle, because we went there on 2022 race and then we pulled out on Friday morning itself.
That's right.
So after 2 years, finally we're seeing it back on calendar. So it's good to have it back.
Yep.
But yeah, moving on to my prediction, like I said, why I feel Leclerc would probably get pole is because I feel the nature of the circuit suits Ferrari more than it might suit Red Bull. I know it's going to sound weird that I'm saying this, but Red Bull, I feel Ferrari probably have a better car in the corners than Red Bull, which is kind of ironic because you would kind of want to associate Red Bull with a better car in the corners. So, but I feel this year, Ferrari, they look strong there. And with...
to be fair, I think that has been the case for the last few years as well.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was last year at Baku where throughout the twisty bits, the Ferrari kept coming out on top.
Quick. Yeah. No, but yeah, probably you could see. Okay, fine. Yeah, you have a fair point there. But it's a different perspective now. I do feel that genuinely, you saw it in Jeddah as well. That in Sector 1, Red Bull was struggling to keep up with the Ferrari. But of course, they clawed it back because of their very powerful apparent Honda engine at the back. So that kind. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I thought you said something. Okay. Yeah, so I felt that kind of helped them. So it will be an interesting perspective to see in Australia because Australia is not a track which are very long straights. Like they do have this new section there, which will be interesting to see how powerful the DRS actually becomes there. Um, but through the corners, I feel that Ferrari is probably really quick, and I do feel that Leclerc would probably get pulled in Australia. And as a race win, I'm going with Charles again because I kind of like Charles. I'm not a fanboy. I'm just passionate. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? Any Mercedes surprise for you?
I find that unlikely, especially since they're not targeting to bring any upgrades just yet. I don't know. Maybe Imola would be the weekend for Mercedes surprise. This one, I'm optimistic, but the surprise would be like a top 3. That's my surprise.
Okay.
I'm gonna say pole is going to Max this time.
Okay.
I don't know. It just feels like his kind of circuit to stick it on pole. But for
To be
race,
fair, we have not seen him in Australia in the Red Bull. No, okay, we have. He came in Red Bull, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Now, I was just trying to think of the last race I saw Max drive at Australia, and I can't really think of one. Like, it's been a long time since we've been in Australia. I just realized that.
yeah, 2019 was the last race.
I don't even remember who won the race in Australia. Probably Lewis, I think. Lewis or Bottas.
Yeah, seems fair.
Yeah.
Fair assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, you continue with your prediction.
But for race win, I am gonna say Carlos Sainz is gonna get his maiden victory in Australia.
That's a good shout. Good shout.
Yeah.
Nice.
Will it be on merit? I don't know. Maybe not. But
so you're probably
good
expecting Charles and Max to
no, not really. Maybe just a bit of a lucky pit stop fiasco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
LATIFIED.
yes. Every driver has to take the turn to get LATIFIED. So far, we've had Checo and Lewis both experience it. Just left another 17 drivers on the grid.
To be fair, just going back a little bit to Jeddah, I felt Albon kind of saved Max the win as well.
Yeah.
Because he kind of made got in the crash with Stroll, I think. So
I think he got a
who knows? I think this is
that, right?
Yeah, he has a three place grid penalty in Australia. Yeah. So I don't know. There's this Williams conspiracy of trying to help help other teams out. Maybe it's been going on since Abu Dhabi.
I don't know, man. But Latifi last weekend really screwed it up for Checo, didn't he?
Yeah. Unfortunate. But I guess that's racing sometimes.
I mean, if it really was a conspiracy, they would have probably asked him to crash a little bit earlier, I guess, so that they could pit safely.
Yeah, probably.
For the record, I am not saying there's a conspiracy. Please do not take this out of context. Just saying
it's just banter.
Yes, but there's nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that sums up what has been pretty exciting, interesting, slightly depressing for me first 2 rounds of F1 racing. And guess we're gonna have a bit of a break until the next episode. 2 weeks from now, we should be back by then. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you again. But until then, please do check out all our other channels. I mean, not our other channels, all our other avenues where you can find us, which is Spotify, YouTube. We are there as the Next Team Podcast. Instagram, all our latest updates will be posted there. We're there at the Next Team SG, and also on TikTok as the Next Team SG. So please do check us out on all these places. And stay tuned for more sporting content. We are doing our best to bring you as much as we can in this time. And well, until we see you in another video, it's me, Tarun, and him, Yash, signing off. Ciao, guys.